Hey everybody, welcome to episode 6 of Talking Tokens. Mike Bradshaw here with Andy Vanderbilt as always. Let's see, we have a handful of things to talk about tonight, so we are going to keep it simple. Is there anything, before we really get into some of our links, that you'd like to talk about tonight?
Well, I'd say one of the bigger things is keep an eye out. As you know, we tend to stream a lot of Star Wars related nonsense here at the store, and we're looking to start doing some Imperial Assault related stuff with skirmishes, and hopefully, thanks to a Reddit suggestion, we think we might actually do a campaign that we're going to try and record, and hopefully that'll be some entertaining nonsense for viewers to enjoy.
Yeah, we'll try to add maybe a little bit of role-playing in between sessions. and
Some flair.
Yeah.
You know, we want it to be entertaining, but other than that, I'm trying to think. We still have a consistently growing Netrunner community. So by all means, anyone out there, big fan of Netrunner or just wanted to try out the game, come in on Sundays. I think first of every month we're doing tournaments, whereas the rest of the time it's casual play to, you know, learn the game, learn new strategies, try new things out. It's a fun time. Very, very casual friendly. Like,
Yeah.
I competed in that tournament that we had this month, and I have to admit, you know, compared to my experiences in Magic, Netrunner was like it was very welcoming, despite the fact I was playing against people who clearly knew what they were doing. People who had tournament kit stuff laid out, like, yes, I won.
Yep.
Or I know a thing or two.
But you held your own pretty well.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
tournament,
no.
from what I saw.
I mean, everyone was just really cool.
Yeah.
So I really am excited to see Netrunner hopefully keep growing, and I hope we get just as much of interest when Legend of the Five Rings comes out.
Yes. So we do Netrunner on Sundays here at the store, starting at 5. It's they're all real casual, aside from the first Sunday of the month, which is when we're going to do the tournaments with the prize support.
And even that isn't that bad.
It's not at all.
Everyone was really friendly.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So just wanted to put that in there as a new Netrunner fan. I really hope to see as many new players in here as we can get.
We also, this Thursday, I believe, we're getting our first expansions for Rune Wars.
That is right. Something we have to get back on. I'm actually working. I got all my Waiqar primed. I just have to stop being lazy. And
I got a few more of mine printed. We could actually, I'd like to do that last launch day adventure.
I agree.
And then maybe a video where we talk about, you know, we could maybe show clips of here's where we made a mistake, like common things that we see coming up when people are playing the game that they're kind of missing on the rules.
Because the game's still it's in an infant stage.
Yes.
It's still starting to kind of find, I think people are still kind of trying to find where it fits, because I know we've had Ken, our resident Armada expert, who I'm sure you all are very familiar with if you watch any of the Armada streams, not the biggest fan of it so far.
I think what he's wanting to do is really just take a look at how the game develops.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be, we talk about this later tonight. I'm very excited to see where the game goes, and I think that's what's kind of not scaring people off, but kind of making people hesitant to be early adopters, because the game's still new. You do get some pretty cool stuff out of the box, but as a whole, I think the core box is it's getting your feet wet. You know, whereas when they start releasing the expansions like you have coming up this week, it's going to get way more interesting as far as army layouts, strategies. It's like with X-Wing. Because I wasn't around when X-Wing was in its wave 1, but, I mean, geez, what ships did they have? I think it was, the Falcon?
Pretty limited.
Yeah, it was like your
pretty limited
iconic ships.
This seems like the perfect segue to go into what was announced today with Rune Wars. So let me bring up that.
I am very excited about this as a Waiqar player.
So we have a new Waiqar hero. Now, this had already been announced, but this is the first chance where we're getting to really take a look at what it can do.
Yeah, and it's completely changed. Like, I was excited when I found out we were getting a Necromancer. Because normally, if there's one thing I learned from Age of Sigmar, Necromancers are pretty awesome. This surpasses my first thoughts on what a Necromancer is, because this guy just looks really awesome.
Yeah. And so it's a Necromancer, like you said, which means it is a magic-based character. As being a magic-based character, it has a lot of its abilities rely on what the runes are showing.
Similar to the Rune Golem.
Yes.
And they're kind of similar to the Waiqar infantry, but whereas the Waiqar infantry have more of a passive ability where, depending on the number of runes you get to regenerate, this guy, the runes can actually dictate his damage output.
Yes.
So if fate smiles upon you, you can technically, you could probably destroy an infantry unit or even a hero.
Yeah.
If things play out right.
As you can see here, it comes with 2 versions of it.
I like how they're doing this.
Cavalry version, which will be its standalone version. And then there is one where he's on foot, which you could then use to add into infantry slots. I'm real excited about that.
I'm really excited because I love the way the cavalry mount looks.
Yeah.
Like, here I was thinking, when we get, I think it's pretty cool that our first cavalry unit is carrion lancers,
Yeah.
Skeletons riding giant.
No, that's a siege unit, not cavalry.
Really? Oh, so
currently the skeletons do not have a cavalry unit. This is their first.
So that has me really hoping that if we get more cavalry instead of just getting like skeletal horses and stuff, I want stuff like this.
You could drop, yeah.
Like, I want crazy.
I mean, is he just riding on magic? Is that a big thing of bones with a storm under it? Is it a worm of some kind?
It looks awesome, and I'm really excited to paint it.
Yeah.
And I really can't wait to see this guy in action because we took a glance at his dial setup earlier, and he looks like he's going to really kind of level the playing field with how annoying I think the Deccan Lord's hero is currently.
And look at what we have here. We have more terrain that's going to be in this box. One called Blighted Ground.
I can appreciate
and we can't see what the other one says. There's a new deployment card and a new scenario.
So it does look like they're kind of keeping in line with how Imperial Assault works.
Yeah.
Every box you buy or every new character you get expansion scenarios that kind of give you new stuff.
So let's take a look at what we have down here. So his deployment card, the deployment side of the card, his ability is really interesting. Forbidden Lore of the Shadow Council. Your army can include one non-unique unit from any other faction. After setup, that unit receives 2 blight tokens. So it's almost like the idea that he has cursed another unit from one of the other factions and is like tricking them and like enslaving them and forcing them to fight for the Waiqar.
That's what a necromancer does. So I guess we do technically get cavalry.
Potentially. And then you have, that's also the second hero that's come out that does that. The human one from the base that allows you to use a non-unique infantry unit from the elves.
Ah, from the elves. Okay,
yes.
What I like about this, though, any other faction, so I could use your cavalry.
Yes, you could use my cavalry, you could use the elves' cavalry.
Yeah, I can use anything, really, outside of your unique hero, or any specifics.
Once we start seeing things from the Uthikulan,
I'm excited. That's the other faction I might actually buy into, depending on how they look.
They're real neat looking. And it looks like their hero is going to be a siege.
That's exciting.
Because I've looked into a few of the other games, and that character that they show on the poster that we have, he's real big.
Awesome. So that might be that's going to be the kind of hero where just throw him out in the field and have him just wreck some stuff, which is exciting.
Now check this out. He has an ability here. It's a ranged ability. Now when he does a ranged attack, he gets a white die equal to the number of, is that unstable energy? The red stars? I think
that's the unstable, if I'm correct.
So he could have none or he could have 4.
Which is great.
Which is devastating. But then you look at this ability. For every, for 2 surges, remove 1 wound. Roll a number of white dice equal to that. So this is showing how that works. It's just the text is up here, but you can remove a wound, which is really important for his special ability, which is add up to the amount of stable energy of full trays to Waiqar infantry. So that is anywhere from 1 to 4 individual soldiers being added onto a Waiqar infantry. At range 1 to 5, then suffer wounds equal to the number of trays added. So as he's hurting himself to make new people, he can still heal. And I didn't catch that the first time I looked at that, which makes him a lot more powerful than I thought it was. Well, because he's already got 5 health.
And that's what I really like about this.
But his armor's only 2. That's the lowest we've seen.
Well, true. But I mean, he's a necromancer. He's not. I don't think he's meant to be necessarily out in the field and everything like that. I'd imagine the big purpose of the cavalry is to keep them within range of all the units or to shift them if needed.
Yeah.
But that's exciting because, to me, now infantry, does that count as well for my archers?
Yes, archers are infantry.
Because that's what I'm thinking. That really saves one of the biggest issues I've had in the beginning is that, well, the resurrection thing.
Which, that's what this example shows right here.
Because these guys
it's adding
are
archers.
Because these guys are incredibly useful.
Yes, they are.
Especially with carrion lancers, and that's amazing to me. And it's trays, so I mean, you can save yourself a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what else we have. Let's take a look at his dial. This is an insane dial. So he's rolling 4 white dice potentially. All right, on a ranged attack, adding a mortal wound to it, or adding 2 normal wounds, or, I mean, this gets him the healing right here. I mean, this is insanely good. His range attack is at range 6, but his melee attack is at 4.
I mean, he seems like he's going to be a glass cannon. Like, he's someone, if position, like, you don't really want him to be rushed out there, but if you have him in the heat of the battle, and you time things right, he can destroy an entire infantry.
Well, how about this? His special is at 8, which means that first round of combat, take 2 damage, make 2 more archers.
So he can really change the... yeah.
And then once you move in, next one you do the range attack, you add the lightning bolt, you heal yourself, and you just rinse and repeat.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see, because this is what I really wanted. This is how I wanted the Waiqar to play. I wanted them to be based around recovery and just messing with your opponents and being kind of like a wall of hate, basically.
Yeah.
And this gives me the ability to do that with my archers, and I'm excited. Like,
and his speed, too. I mean...
yeah, he looks like...
this right here, he can move up to 6.
Well, and that can be useful if he needs to get the hell out of the way.
Yes, it can.
I mean...
get behind somebody,
exactly.
and then quickly turn around.
Yeah, I like that because that'll also help keep him from getting flanked.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see what else we have here. Let's take a look at some of the upgrade cards. All right, so he can be outfitted with the Dusk Blade.
Always a cool name. Sounds metal. Sounds metal.
So we have its melee attack for 2 energy, reduce the defender's defense by 1 for this
I like
attack.
that, because sometimes
So the human hero has the Dawn Blade, which allows him to increase his defense by 1.
I like how the lore is tying together, too, because I never looked at too much into the lore of the...
Let's see what else we have. Here's a couple different shots of
beautiful
that.
concept art.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just surfing.
Yeah, it's just a pile of bones with magical energy.
How cool is that? How metal is that?
How about regenerative magic? The number of surges that precedes your surge abilities is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. So he could heal for only 1.
Okay, all right. Exciting.
Violent forces. Let's see what we have here. Your range attack rolls a number of white dice equal to the stable energy instead of unstable energy.
Your special adds...
unstable number of trays instead of stable. So you could do up to 4 trays added. It just swaps them out. And brutal 1, so your threat is increased by 1.
Which is always a nice ability. That puts him kind of closer to on par with Artis, who's more of a, a tanky sort of...
Wow, that's a neat one.
I was a little worried because after I mean, if you remember correctly, I wasn't too happy when I found out you guys are getting archers, because I'm like, you already got cavalry. Your hero can already wipe people out from not even being near them. What do we get? And we get Waiqar Cavalry. So, yeah, I'm down with that. And of course, we're getting the carrion lancers with the 2 alternate molds, which I think is awesome. I'm really excited to see. I think this is gonna shake up the game a lot more.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's take a look at a couple of those Kickstarters.
Yeah, I did some browsing on the internet. Kind of one of our favorite things to do is always look up Kickstarters and find things. Slim pickings this week. I tried not to pick anything that really already made it because, I mean...
Let's talk about stuff that's on its way.
Yeah, you want to... Maybe we can help them out, or maybe, I know this one you've had
Well, before we get into my issues with this, let's just talk about what the game is.
This one caught my eye. It's called Blood Oath: The Beginning.
Yeah.
And the reason it caught my eye is, well, one, the box art was really cool. The name kind of piqued my interest because it sounds, it sounds like a little... It sounds very heavy metal. Mm-hmm. But I also loved the concept behind it. It's basically
it's got cool art, too.
It does. It's a 3-player card game where it's vampires versus lycans versus slayers. So it kind of has that underworld sort of vibe to it, but I think it looks cool.
But like the prequel one where they're in the Middle Ages?
I like how the lycans look. Everything looks very beastie.
Yeah, it comes with a whole bunch of cards, which is cool.
And all the art's really good.
Yeah.
Like, I really love the artwork on a lot of these cards, especially the vampire and the lycan cards, because I always thought lycans were pretty cool. And I like
I love the board setup.
Yeah, the playmat really interested me because it's a 3-player. You can, one of the variants is a 2-player version, but a 3-player card game, it's odd, but it works in this case thematically. And that strikes me as that it turns into a very interesting case of who do you go for?
It becomes political.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It becomes very much like, okay, vampires aren't doing anything yet, but the slayers are starting to catch up. Like, I think it's a very cool idea, great artwork, and of course the board assembly is kind of neat. Like, I like how you can. It's not just one board. You basically have these little templates, and you just can attach them. And I think, it just seems like a really neat idea, and I like the fact that it's a modest price they're asking for to kickstart it.
Yeah, it's
$29, I believe, and you get a copy of Blood Oath.
Yeah, you get a copy of the game,
and then you get all the Kickstarter, you get all the stretch goals or whatever. You can add yourself into the game for $99.
Yeah.
It's okay. I just thought it was a neat little idea, and I like card games ever since I kind of got hooked on Legendary and Netrunner.
Yeah. My big problem with this one, and I may be biased here.
By all means.
Okay. But under the Why Pledge Now there's something really concerning to me. This game is exclusive for Kickstarter and will never be available in local stores.
Yeah, when you pointed that out to me, that kind of, I have to admit, that kind of soured my...
Because what that says to me is this game will never have a community.
Pretty much.
You're going to have your friends that you play with, and you'll play a couple of times, but there's not going to be any way to do any competitive anything for this game because stores won't be interested.
Yeah. And that's kind of, when you have a fighting game, when you have a fighting card game, you kind of want that.
Yeah.
I kind of understand, maybe why they did that. Just trying to think, because, it's a competitive market. It's an incredibly competitive market. I don't know what the cost and what you would need to do to get your product out there, but I definitely don't think keeping it as a Kickstarter only, especially when Kickstarter is full of games,
sure.
Of numerous games that
and then what happens down the line if, let's say, this is successful, right?
Yeah.
And people really like it, and they decide, you know what, we actually can do a print run. We can start working with stores. Now, because you've said it will never be available to local stores, you're alienating anybody who backed the game.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame. But
now, that might also be because it's coming out of the Philippines, and there might not be a great path to distribution.
That is true.
As a game designer in the Philippines.
I'm sure if these guys had the opportunity to, they would love to have their game become a big thing.
And then the other troubling thing to me here is it says updated game reviews coming soon. So they started their Kickstarter without at least having anything about people saying that they've played it and what they think of it.
Yeah, it does seem like they're kind of putting the cart before the horse, but I don't know. I can kind of, as a sort of half-assed creative type, I kind of admire their tenacity. They're already at $2,180.
Yeah, they're more.
Sorry, I said that like a moron, but they're at a decent. They got a decent start. They got 28 days to go. They're 50 backers. I'll admit I'm still kind of tempted to, but that's also because I like the theme. I'm somewhat of a collector of these kind of interesting games.
Well, sure, you're a big fan of, what was that game you were playing? Bloodborne
Love Bloodborne.
You like Fury of Dracula.
Yeah.
You're big on the Universal monsters too.
Yeah, if I had tattoos, it would probably be mostly the Gill Man and probably Boris Karloff somewhere. But yeah, like this kind of stuff just kind of really appeals to me, and I just love the price because a lot of Kickstarter games, you go into them, they're not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, you're getting them at lower cost, but like Dark Souls, the board game, I went in for about $180.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love that game. I look at that game. I spent all Saturday sleeving that game.
Yeah.
While I was hanging out here talking to you guys. But I like the idea that this is a $29 game, and you know what? Maybe, like you said, maybe it'll kind of gain some traction. And a 3-player card game set up in this universe, like I can think of a few people offhand who'd probably want to give it a shot.
Yeah.
But I'm still interested, and I do think it's something to consider. But I do understand where you're coming from too, because, like you said, what if this does turn out to be a big thing, and then it's like, oh well, we got to go back on our Kickstarter exclusives.
And here's the thing: I have no problem talking about this game and getting the word out there because people have 28 days to get it, and then it seems like they won't be able to.
Yeah. I don't know, but still. I think it's something that if this is even remotely interests you, check it out. And actually, before we go on to our next game,
yeah,
I did find another game that, talking about monsters, kind of sprung the idea, but I don't know if you want to pull this up on Kickstarter on the screen over there. Sorry, everyone. It's called Monster Trap.
All right.
By New Comet Games.
Vandy's over here calling an audible. Hang on.
Sorry. I knew I was looking at something, and I totally goofed up.
What's it called?
It's called Monster Trap. And this is another one kind of in that same vein where I almost want it based a lot on the artwork to the left. This is by New Comet Games, and it just sounds like a really fun idea where you're essentially, from what I gathered, it's a co-op game for 1 to 6 players where you're essentially trying to stop this monster from eating your sheep.
All right. Because no one wants monsters eating your sheep.
Nobody wants, and it's like it's gotten some pretty positive feedback.
And I love this, age 6 and up.
Well, that's what kind of drew me to it. This is kind of game you could bust out anywhere, it seems, and have some fun. And kind of going how I was interested in Blood Oath, $35 gets you a copy.
This is potentially something I could play with my daughter, which I'm a fan of.
Scroll down.
And it's 1 to 6 players.
Yeah, you can keep scrolling down, though, because not only do you have some really good testimonials, but you get some, it's all standees. You get some different characters. Mm-hmm. I love the monster design.
Yeah,
like
he's big and lummoxy. He's not scary because, again, this is geared towards his younger
reminds
audience.
Me of Ludo a little bit from Labyrinth.
Sure, he's just more scaly, less hairy.
Yeah, but it just looks like a fun.
Looks like you have a diverse cast of characters here.
Well, yeah, because I think the top Kickstarter that's actually no longer available. They had only one, but they got to be put in the game, I believe.
Oh, neat.
You or your child inside the game, it's cool. Like, it seems like it was a game made by parents who wanted to make a fun game for everyone to play in. Come on, kids love monsters, let's be honest here. I'm 29 years old and I still love monsters. And this looks like a fun game. Like, if I had this as a kid, I probably would want to play it, like, a lot. This is another one that I'm honestly thinking I might kickstart just sort of for fun.
So they have ideas for what their stretch goals might be, kind of, maybe? They just haven't been announced?
Well, I think they're kind of, because if you scroll up, I think this is...
You want to wait until we're close to being funded?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're taking a very cautious approach, which
so the USA shipping is free?
Oh, wow. I didn't see that part. You know, the artist, I love the artwork. I loved the video, just looked funny.
Has that monster been tar and feathered?
Yes, it has been.
Wow, okay.
This is their 9th Kickstarter. And they have a sister company I was not aware of called Dark Cult Games. So I might have to check more of these guys out. Because this one kind of... I read about it, and I don't know how I forgot about it, but all this talk about monsters really kind of brought it back.
Now, let me take a look at here. Do they have a retailer package?
This seemed like something you would want to...
I mean, it's neat.
Oh, vendor level.
Yeah. So surrenders only after selecting the level, you'll be contacted, your exact order worked out, and billed as appropriate amount. All right. So at $5, you could get in for the retailer package.
That's really neat.
And I've seen a few of them doing that. The white box does that. It's $35 for the retailer package.
And
that's a $35 credit towards whatever your order is going to be.
I'm glad I remembered this because I thought I forgot you. You have your daughter you like to play games with as well, I would imagine.
She loves games.
And this just looks fun.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely excited about this one. It's got 24 days to go. So it looks like they're almost a fourth of the way through.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can get some attention on this one.
Hope to help you guys out because I love the way this game looks and I can't get enough of the monster art.
Now the next one is another one you do like the way it looks.
Yes, this is another one that kind of caught my eye just based on look. It's called Psycho, the Western cyberpunk board game.
I mean, you know me, I like a good cowboy game.
Well, that's what kind of drew this to me. I love robots and sci-fi, but I also love westerns and cowboys and stuff like that. And this game combines the both. It combines them both into a board game, which is something, because when I first glanced at this, I know I kind of went very miniatures heavy in the first couple of Kickstarter moments that we had.
Mm-hmm. Cardboard standees, but it includes
buildings.
That
is what really kind of made me think, wow, this looks really cool because it's kind of like a miniatures game on a budget, I would almost say, but even that's kind of a cheap way to say it, but it's kind of cool how you can get that whole aspect and look to it, and you get to appreciate the artwork.
Yeah.
And the way they're explaining it, 30 to 45 minutes, rules can be explained in 5 minutes. I mean, and it can be a tactical, it can be a precise game. Universe is cool. It's all basically robots have sort of taken over for the most part, and there's no law. So you basically have these law robots, law-giving robots. That's
a lot of fun. Does it look like they have it? Let me get to their stretch goals here. Let's see what they have.
This one I thought was kind of neat, how they'll actually put you in there.
In the game?
Yeah. Well, they have where you can be a wanted poster. Mm-hmm. They have where you can actually be a character, I believe.
It looks like in the scenery.
Yeah. And then if you go down, they actually will make a civilian standee, because I believe civilians kind of play. And I think it's really cool how they have that comparison to kind of show you that it's not going to be they're going to throw a filter over it. Yeah, they're going to actually, this looks like something out of Netrunner.
Yeah.
And it just looked like a fun idea, and this is another one that seems like it would be fun to play. Because, one, the theme. Two, just the look.
Yeah.
And, you can reenact old Western, kind of showdowns.
And you know what? As great as miniatures are, sometimes just some real nice artwork is wonderful.
Well, yeah, because you know what? This is great for someone who might want something like this, but, if you see miniatures, God, I have so many miniatures right now I have to build and paint. Sometimes I really wish I could just play a game. That's why I kind of fell in love with Legendary when I ended up picking it up. So I'm like, oh, wow. All I have to do is sleeve this, and that's more of a what if. Of course I sleeve them.
Yeah, and then also because they're not, making them miniatures, it makes the game more affordable, like you brought up earlier.
Yeah, because what are they looking at here? They're still new, so I mean they got 29 days to go, 23 backers.
38,252. That's a kind of a high goal.
It's a high goal,
but they just started.
Yeah, so you never know. I mean, geez, sometimes these things start off slow, and then you have all sorts of $50 to become to get a special price, and that includes the For Glory, which I believe gives you the stretch goal. Mm-hmm. If you scroll down, yeah, I mean they got a lot of interesting stuff for retailers. For
$140. Okay.
About $130, $140, and you get the For Glory stuff. I mean, I don't know if this will be for everybody, but it looks like it'd be a lot of fun.
Well, let's take a look at it in a couple of weeks and see how well it's doing.
Oh yeah, but definitely check this out because it was a pretty interesting. I really like looking for Kickstarters that are still starting because you know what? Of course, all the attention goes on the big ones like Gloomhaven and stuff that just destroys their Kickstarter goals because they already have like an established sort of, hey, we know what we're doing. Look at this. So it's kind of cool to find these sort of off the wall, well, not even off the wall ones, but they don't jump out right away. They're not like at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, especially Monster Trap, which just looks delightful.
Yeah.
And that picture alone, though, I would not mind owning a print of that.
That's pretty cool.
I love that he has the star in his hat.
Yeah.
Some very...
that is neat.
It's like, well, what was that show everyone was obsessed with? Westworld?
Yeah.
It's like that, but more...
More cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's definitely cyberpunky. Yeah, you're right.
All right, so this next one I know you're excited about.
Yes and no, mostly because I'm not a Space Marines. I play Chaos. But this is kind of a big shakeup for 40K. So as you know, we're barreling closer and closer to the release of 8th edition 40K, which is going to be Games Workshop's biggest move to date, I would say, since they stopped Warhammer Fantasy Battle and turned it into Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
And 8th edition 40K is making some pretty broad changes, and this is one of the biggest ones to come so far. Besides the rules, they're actually they've revealed a new Space Marines, not a new chapter. Or see, I always get confused with the terminology, but basically, what they're doing here is they've created a new level of Space Marine that is actually stat-wise different from the. They're going to have new models that are different from the original Space Marines that we've seen around here. You know, the kind you get in the Start collecting boxes. They're called the Primaris Space Marines. And if you go on their website right now, you can see some of the new stats. You can see they're kind of in between. They're basically an in-between from the standard Space Marine and the Terminator. And if you're not familiar with what the Terminator is, the Terminator are basically they're like the heavy infantry for Space Marines.
Okay.
They're big, they're bulky, they are basically walking tanks.
Yeah, because 40K is something I know nothing about.
I love the models. I've played some of the games. I'll admit I'm still not the most well versed, but I love the look and the feel of it, and I'm really excited about 8th edition to get some more of that going in here. But I love the fact that they've made they're going that far where they actually have made a new form of Space Marine, and it looks like it's going to shake things up, change how it works. You can actually make them into any chapter. So you can, it's one of the big concerns people have whenever they announce new editions of these games is, what about my old stuff? What if I'm someone who plays Iron Hands?
Yeah, Space Wolves, Blood Angels.
Yeah, what if I'm someone who plays this specific, or Carcharodons or any of that? You can take these guys and add them to your army. You buy them, you paint them. I think they're going to actually, I might have misread this, but I think they're going to actually have some of the, like the shoulder pads and stuff separate, so you can actually upgrade older Space Marines.
Oh, that's cool.
I think so. Yeah, they cost more than your standard Marines. They're called it just looks really cool to me, and I love how they're kind of embracing the change, and they're looking to actually shake things up, because as I keep saying, miniatures gaming is a huge market now.
Mm-hmm.
Games Workshop isn't the only name in town, and this is another step in showing that they are looking to change how they play and what they have available.
And I just read that, so this is the stats for the Intercessor Squad
Yes.
of the Primaris. And down here it's saying that there are going to be more types of Primaris Space Marines that they'll be showing soon.
Yeah, they're slowly leaking out more and more information, because I mean, a lot of people have been complaining that the hype machine's getting a little too strong, but from the looks of it and what they've been doing, I honestly think Games Workshop is on the right path to really make 8th edition a big event. Because Age of Sigmar managed to change. Because I don't know if you knew much about Age of Sigmar, but when it first came out, horrible reception. Came out, there was no point system, there was nothing. This looks like it's going to be that level of change, but smarter, more refined. They basically learned everything they did with Age of Sigmar, and now they're transferring it over to 40K. And I think it's going to really bring more and more people into the game, and even bring back maybe some of the old timers who left because they were kind of sick of how Games Workshop is running things.
Very cool. All right, so what one of the things that we started doing in the last couple weeks here is
the elevator pitch.
Doing this little elevator pitch. Well, it's not really an elevator pitch because we ramble on for a while.
But I just like the way how that's how it starts.
Yeah.
You strike gold, you got to keep going with it.
You went first, or you went last time.
No,
No, I went last time.
You
went the time before.
Yes.
It's your turn again.
Okay, so here's my idea. Let me think here. See, my problem is now after the Thing game incident, how we pitched that idea, and then no more than a day or two later, Mondo announced that they were publishing a Thing game. I'm kind of afraid to come up with intellectual property.
I will also say I have had a couple of people come up to me in the last week saying that, you know what, I'd like to play Ratification.
I see. I thought that was great. When you told me that made my night.
So let's
Ratification.
Ratification.
It's we have someone here curious about what ratification was, and ratification
you of all people should be watching the streams.
It's a pun.
No, I'm not watching it. I'm
Well,
on your Wi-Fi though.
You can't account for bad taste.
All right. Quit stalling. What do you got?
I'll admit I am struggling. Okay, so I had an idea as far as it goes. I wanted to keep this under my hat, but maybe some people out there can help me sort of develop it. I thought about having something. You ever play the game Faster Than Light?
Yes.
FTL for those who might be familiar with it. Fantastic indie game that
it's
really.
It's a roguelike.
Yeah, it's a roguelike, but it does it so right. Where I have lost hours playing it over and over again. I kind of thought of adapting that into a board game, sort of, because obviously you don't want to just take that and throw it into a board game. Mm-hmm. But there have been games that have taken that idea. I think Rocket Jockey was one of them.
No, Rocket Jockey.
Not Rocket Jockey. There was another one.
Damage Report.
Damage Report. Okay, because I was looking online because when I started playing FTL again, I think I wonder if there's any board games like it.
Which we do have a demo copy here of Damage Report, and we have a handful of copies in stock. So if anybody would like to try out Damage Report, come on down, because I'd be more than willing to play that game again. That's a lot of fun.
But I was thinking of doing something like that in a different setting, and maybe with more of a sort of exploratory, like I guess the way I would describe it is kind of think of Oregon Trail mixed with sort of FTL and sort of like a more alien universe, something that's, not just traveling along the trail, or even something, deep sea exploration could be kind of a cool idea.
Like a submarine.
Yeah, like maybe you're a submarine and you're in like some sort of weird dystopian future and you're trying to find materials, but you also have to look out for like monsters and pirates.
Or even like an Age of Exploration type game where you get a big old ship and you're a privateer, or rather you get bombarded by pirates and privateers and you're...
Yeah, and I was thinking, I kind of wanted to adapt the combat from Arkham Horror, because I really like the way Arkham Horror works in terms of you have 3 actions. What do you do? And, you have that hand, because it kind of combines that aspect of a deck builder in a sense where... See, that's the problem. It's like one of those ideas where I think about it, and there's so many ideas I want to cram in there.
Here's how I could see it potentially work.
Yeah.
All right, just for the sake of argument, let's go with an Age of Exploration style. All right, so you've got your ship, and the board would be a cross-section of the ship. It might be separate tiles that you could put together, so you could customize what your ship is like.
That, and I was thinking...
or different floors, like you could see...
Well, I was thinking
on the deck
when certain things happen,
it
can happen to certain parts of the ship.
Yeah.
And you have to repair those, and you have options as far as that goes.
So each player is a character that has a specialization. Okay. And think of it maybe like a resource management, area control type game.
Yeah.
Where you're putting things where it needs to go for different crises. Maybe you have a deck of cards that is your scenario engine.
Yes.
So think like, you flip over a card and it says, "Oh no, you're being chased by pirates."
Have you ever played Red Dragon in 4?
No, I haven't.
That's the pirate version. That's exactly what it does. Okay. You have a C deck that basically are these big cards, and every go-around, you flip it, changes the layout of the game, because it'll say Ghost Pirates, Calm Seas, Storms, and it'll affect things. That was kind of a system I wanted to adapt.
Well, let's zoom out a bit, too. Looking at the idea of FTL, what if you have like a map of the known world?
That would be
and you're traveling from area to area. When you go to an area, it'll say how many cards you draw to see what might be there. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes maybe, you find an uncharted island. And
that's very true. I'm just surprised that FTL hasn't sort of been on a watch, because I said that. But
in terms of the core mechanics of FTL,
there are games out there.
Damage Report's a really close one.
Yeah.
But that would be you've jumped, deal with this scenario.
Yeah.
And it's a 45-minute board game about a single one, as opposed to potentially a longer campaign-like game.
Well, that's what I'm thinking could be really cool, because, a co-op game where you and your friends are basically on this long journey where it's all kind of centralized, because, sure, you have games like Descent, you have games like Explore, even where you're on this journey. But I think kind of having, like, your own ship, stuff to sort of personalize it a bit more.
You ever play Sid Meier's Pirates?
No, you know what? I've heard good things about it.
It's a neat one. You start off with a small ship.
Yeah.
And then as it goes on, you purchase more ships, so you get a little fleet going. It's got interesting combat mechanics to it.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's one of those games that every time I see it, but I'm also...
Also keep in mind, I am like in the middle of a Seafall campaign, and I'm really enjoying it, so that theme is very...
well, yeah.
It kind of sparks my imagination right now.
No, I totally get that. I'm into the more fantastical sort of sea related stuff. So that's where I was kind of thinking well, a game that I wanted to actually
Pirates of Darkwater.
Yes, that's actually really spot on. Missed that show. It's sad it never got to finish. But yeah, something like that where you could really have like really off the wall situations where you can have sea monsters attack, or you pick up a drifting wizard or something like that.
Uh-huh.
That can alter how the game plays.
Or it's like you get these choices.
Exactly.
There's someone stranded. Do you help them?
Or do you not trust them?
It's going to take up a bunch of time. You might not be able to get where you're trying to go to next.
Or it could be something bad happens.
So
how many crew members have you lost in FTL because...
Even having a deck like, what is it? Dead of Winter. They have that Crossroads
Never
deck.
played it.
So one of the it's a Crossroads game.
Yeah.
The idea is you have a deck of cards, and each turn the person to your right or left, I can never remember which, they draw a card. And if you do the condition that happens on top, they go, oh, wait. And then they read the card. And a thing happens, and you're given a choice.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is, I think this could be another idea we can develop, not based off an IP, so maybe we can have a little more luck with it than we did with The Thing. Though I do love how, because of that game sparking interest, that guy's print-and-play version of The Thing has skyrocketed pretty high on Board Game Geek.
Sure.
I think it drops back down, but I thought that must have been pretty neat, because I guess he was getting a lot of questions regarding, it's not me. And yes, Ken, I would be more than happy to give Dead of Winter a try. I'm assuming it's zombies, right?
Yes, it is. You are in a compound of survivors, and you're just trying to last through the winter.
See, I hate zombies, but you know what? For you, I'll give it a shot.
They have a new one coming out.
It's the prison.
So the idea is they already have a second one out.
Yeah.
And it's a different compound. This one actually is the two of them at war with each other. So you could have 5 players on this team, 5 players on that team. They're all going into the same town. You could get exiled from one and brought into the other. You could be exiled from both and just trying to sabotage both of them.
See, that's actually pretty cool because, man, I got to admit, if it's one thing that's really hard to sell me on, it's a zombie-related game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also the fact that in Dead of Winter, each person is given a secret objective, and if you win the game and you do your secret objective, you win. So you could have everybody win or nobody win. You could have everyone survive and nobody win. There's also, for every player, you get 2 cards that you get to choose from, and one betrayal card is put in there. It's shuffled up, and you handle out one to everyone. So you don't know if there is a betrayer in the group or not.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'd be willing to give that a shot. I think we need to kind of... God, we've been busy a lot lately with everything else in the store. When was the last time we really...
There's too many good games.
Yeah, when was the last time I think the last game I sat down and played was Ascension.
Yeah, we played that the other night.
You showed me how to play Ascension, which I really had a good time with, and I would really love to sit down and...
I played Agricola yesterday, and I played Room 7 yesterday. Both a lot of fun.
Is Room 7 the escape room game?
Room 7 is a squad-based tactical game.
Oh, okay.
Made by Privateer Press.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Where did you play that at?
Somebody brought it in.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And that was a lot of fun.
That sounds fun. I mean, I just wish Privateer Press would bring back Monster Apocalypse.
Here's hoping.
As far as that would be an interesting conversation one of these days. Games that you really wish would come back from the grave.
All right, so we've got a nautical game
Yeah.
based on different scenarios, maybe an overarching campaign.
Yeah.
Going from place to place and dealing with stuff. Throw out a title. What do you got?
Against the Tides.
Against the Tides. That's really good, actually. I like that.
Gotcha.
All right. So Against the Tides. All right. Well, that.
I'd yell patent pending, but you told me I can't do that. It does nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. But we'll know. No.
I will find you, and I'll probably go, what happened? Why would you do that to me?
All right. Well, that looks like that rounds up everything that we wanted to talk about tonight. Go ahead if you have anything you'd like us to talk about for next week. Throw them down in the comments.
Please do.
And we're going to try to get something going. I'd like to make an announcement either next week or the following, if possible.
Agreed.
But until then, again, thanks for watching. We really appreciate it.
Guys, have a good night.